What's going on, guys? We're Tottenham TV here, back again with another tactical preview, this time for the Tottenham Hotspur versus Sheffield United game on Thursday night at Bramall Lane. This is a big game for Tottenham to keep up their hopes for the Champions League spots, either taking 4th or 5th place, making increasingly likely now that only 5th place might be up for grabs. And obviously Sheffield United also in the race for a European place, so points to be had in this game. Sheffield United's form post the restart has been pretty dreadful. They've played 3 games, they've drawn 1 against Aston Villa 0-0, and they've lost the other 2 games against Newcastle and Manchester United 3-0 each time. This would be a worrying trend for Sheffield United, who are known for having one of the fiercest defences in the Premier League. However, their defence has been breached time and time again since the restart. We're going to look now where I think the game could be won, how Sheffield United set up, and where this could benefit Spurs and where they could potentially hurt us if we let them. We'll look at their lineup, how they look to set up. It's pretty rigid for every game. Give or take a few personnel changes. They don't seem to change the formation too much during the game. So if we look at the lineup here, they usually play a 5-3-2 formation with 2 fullbacks. Looks like usually it's 1 defensive midfielder and 2 box-to-box midfielders and 2 strikers. They usually rotate between the 4. I'm going to assume they're going to go Muse and McGoldrick for this game, just because we're going to have a majority of possession, so they're probably going to be looking to counter us, and Billy Sharp and Ollie McBurney aren't the best strikers for counter-attacking. And for Spurs, the lineup I'm going to go for is similar to the one that played against West Ham United and Man United. There could be a bit of rotation in this game, given the fact we have 3 games in 6 days in this period. Despite Sheffield United having one of the meanest defences in the top flight, I think they currently sit 4th for goals conceded in the Premier League. They are actually one of the worst in terms of goals scored. They've scored 30 goals this season, which ranks them near the bottom of the table. But in terms of shots and shots on target, they actually rate bottom of the whole Premier League. The biggest avenue that they create chances is from the wing backs, crosses. That's their biggest attacking threat. Their strikers this season have scored very few goals. So out of their 30 goals this season, their strikers have hit 12. Their 4 strikers have hit 12 of them. So majority of their goals are coming from defenders and from midfield. And considering that their midfielders are not particularly attacking, it's always quite surprising. That's where the majority of goals are coming from. So if you actually keep their midfield and defenders quiet, it's quite likely that they're not going to be there. They're going to find it very difficult to score. And if you score first, they're not a kind of team that creates a lot of chances, especially when they're behind. And also, Sheffield United also play their top of the league for long balls. They really are the modern day Bolton Wanderers, Stoke City, these kind of teams. They're the next team in line in that kind of ilk. And Chris Wilder has really built a team that is better than the sum of its parts, because there's no real individual quality in this team. There's no standout individuals that you can point to and say that's one to look out for. However, as a system, the way they defend and then sometimes counter-attack, that's how they win games. Their togetherness, the way that they work together. If you analyse the Man United game, Manchester United obviously turned out 3-0 winners, and all 3 goals came in the area between the wider centre-back and the wing-back. This is because Man United have very dangerous wing players in Marcus Rashford, and Daniel James. Obviously Martial is floating in between the lines. Rashford was able to exploit that space pretty devastatingly whenever the fullbacks go forward, and because Sheffield United's main attacking outlet is those fullbacks, they do go forward quite a lot. Now usually Sheffield United can negate this with their 3 defensive-minded midfielders. However, due to Man United playing Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in central midfield, that meant that these 3 defensive midfielders were not able to cover and plug gaps in the defences like they usually can, seeing as they were way too occupied with Fernandes and Pogba. They weren't able to sit too deep because they couldn't afford to give Bruno Fernandes and Pogba as much space as they wanted because of the quality that they have. And this is exactly where I see Tottenham making them pay, especially with Serge Aurier going forward on the right hand side. With Serge Aurier providing width on the right hand side. That's gonna force Ender Stevens, the Sheffield United left back, to occupy that space. And despite them having 3 centre backs, which they usually play, whether it be Bergwijn or Mora, I'm gonna say it's Bergwijn for the time being. He's gonna be able to have a run at the centre back, and that's going to prove a big worry for him, because if he draws out a centre back, it could leave Harry Kane one-on-one with one of their centre backs, and it could prove big trouble for Sheffield United. I have a feeling that they're going to really struggle to know how to deal with that going the other way, because usually they're very compact, but they have the defensive midfielders to plug the gaps, but it could leave a lot of space, just like West Ham fell into this trap. The central midfielders were very deep, plugging the gaps, but this left a lot of space for Giovanni Lo Celso, who sits in the pivot, a lot of space for him to operate. And if he gets too much space to operate, he could really hurt the opposition. If they don't afford him space, if they press on our central midfielders, then it's going to leave way too much space for either Dele Alli to operate in, or the forwards like Harry Kane and Bergwijn, because they're going to be able to attack on the fullbacks, which is going to be a big problem for Sheffield United. Going the other way, if Sheffield United do get a counter attack, this could be a big problem for Spurs, because they play 2 strikers, and if they play Mousset and McGoldrick, they're 2 pacey strikers. Although they're not the most prolific in front of goal, they're willing to run the channels. They're going to be difficult to deal with in terms of physically. And obviously it'll be good if Daron Sanchez can play, but with Aurier pushing so far forward, that could be a good avenue for them to play early balls in the channels and get some joy there. And obviously if Aurier's far forward, it could be difficult for him to track Ender Stevens going the other way. And he could be able to find some space in the wider positions. So that's where Sheffield United really are threatening in the attacking third. They rank 3rd for crosses in the Premier League. That's where the majority of their attacking avenue comes from. And we saw the game back in November in Pochettino's last game, that they are able to play some football if you allow them time and space on the ball. They are able to get the ball down and play. I think this game again, Sheffield United are going to struggle. I think if Spurs have the right game plan, I think there's actually, despite Sheffield United having one of the best defences this season, I feel like Tottenham's formation is really suited to be able to attacking Sheffield United at their weakest points. And I think it's really suited to taking on this current formation, the way Sheffield United play, and the fact that Sheffield United's defence has dropped off. They've conceded 6 goals in their past 2 games. I think we could be in line for another Tottenham Hotspur win here after beating West Ham 2-0. I think that Sheffield United, obviously not to be underestimated, I'm sure they're going to prove very difficult to break down, but I really believe, given the fact that their fullbacks are their main attacking threats, I think Aurier is going to be able to pen Ender Stevens back, because we all know how far forward he likes to get, and he's a lot quicker, a lot more athletic than Ender Stevens. I'm going to go for a Tottenham victory. I think, depending on how the game goes, I could see us even keeping a clean sheet this game. I can see us winning like 1 or 2 goals to 0. I think Sheffield United are quite blunt at the moment. I think their attacking force isn't looking threatening, and if we can keep their central midfield quiet and if we can pen them back with our fullbacks with Aurier going forward, I can really see that paying dividends with our forward players. The only thing I worry about is Sheffield United potentially sitting very deep, and our players like Son and Bergwijn do like a bit of space in behind to use their pace. However, if they sit too deep, they could allow Lo Celso and Dele Alli or Lamela to operate in between the lines, and that could prove dividends. And if their centre-backs get drawn out by our wing forwards, that could leave some space for Harry Kane. But that's how I see the game going. Let us know in the comments below, how do you see the game going on Thursday night? Do you think Sheffield United are going to turn up and improve their form, or do you think Tottenham have this in the bag? Like and subscribe if you like our content. Let me know what do you think of this type of content, and as always, come on you Spurs.